Hi, everyone. This is Rhonda Anstead, and it is time for our weekly conversation. And today I want to talk about the concept of joy in work. Can you find work that's based on joy? And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because number one, I think that it is important to do work that you love. And and at the same time, that means different things to different people. And I have also worked with a lot of people that get stuck on this idea of I have to 100% love my job 100% of the time for it to be worthwhile for me. And and so what I want to do is basically kind of break down this concept of joy in the workplace and what are some things that you can do to to make sure that you choose jobs and you design a career that will bring health, balance, and happiness into your life as much as possible. So let's start with just an understanding of what is joy in when we're talking about jobs and careers, and what different people can find joy in different ways. And so what is important is to start with who you are. And so some people are naturally exuberant and they can find joy in almost anything that they're doing. Some people tend more toward being glum and more negative, and those are all fine ways of being. So if you are someone who is not a naturally exuberant person, I don't want you to try to change yourself. But what I want you to do is find what this concept of joy in the job or what a successful life means to you. So one of the first things when we talk about joy in the workplace is defining that for yourself and not to take what other people have done as your model. And the reason why that's important is because we can't be someone else. And when we're constantly comparing ourselves to someone who has all this success and seems to really love their work, and what am I doing, that creates a cycle that isn't helpful and certainly doesn't lead to joy. So first of all, figure out what does this mean to you. And how I define it is to have a majority. So that could be 51% of your job to have some kind of intrinsic joy or pride or interest in what you're doing. So this is one of the reasons why I built my career design studio the way that I did, was for you to, first of all, identify your strengths. And then from there, to identify what are the strengths that you want to use in your job. And I use strengths as a little bit of a shortcut or a proxy for joy, because generally, when we're good at something, we enjoy doing it. That's not true for everything. And that's why you want to take it that next step of what are the things that I'm good at that I want to be doing. So that can be your definition of what joy in a job means to you, is that I'm using my strengths and I'm using the strengths that I most enjoy. And sometimes it's helpful to kind of turn that concept on its head. And what would be the opposite situation? And what that is when you are primarily in your job working from your weaknesses, from the things that are not super easy for you. And that is a recipe for burnout. A lot of people that I work with, they come to me from that perspective of I am doing this thing that I'm not very good at and I feel like crap. My boss isn't happy with my performance. I'm unhappy with my performance. And sometimes there's this concept of if I just get another job, then things will be better. But if you're getting a job doing similar things, then it is going to be really difficult, even if you've got a better organization or a better boss, to really find meaning and fulfillment in that job. So, meaning and fulfillment, other words that might be more useful for you than this concept of joy. So, and let's just take it one step back, and what I consider to be a job full of joy is a job that fits you. And so that fits your strengths, that fits your values, that fits your personality. And so, in order to get that kind of job, you need to understand what your personality is, what your strengths are, what your values are, what your life goals are. So that's why my career design studio starts with the raw materials, because you're designing your future based on who you are. You are your own raw materials. So for a mosaic artist, that would be tiles, the glue, the platform. For a fine artist, the raw materials would be the canvas and the paints and the scenery. And so what I want you to be thinking about when you are designing your life is, who am I? What are my goals? What do I want out of life? Some people have a sense of passion about a specific subject. So that might be music, that might be international development, that might be teaching, that might be politics. So those are passions, but not everybody has a passion. And that doesn't mean that you can't find a job that is a good fit for you or that brings you joy. So, and at the same time, it's also useful to remember that you do not have to cram everything that gives your life meaning or that you enjoy into your job. And sometimes by doing that, you're actually taking an activity that you do love, and then it becomes a burden, then it becomes work. So that's another reason why I encourage people to think holistically. What is going to give your life meaning? And where's the best place for me to put that in my life? Is it my job and my career? Or is this something that I do on the weekends or on vacation, or whenever I have that opportunity? And so I think music is a really good example of that. And in that, making money on music is not a process of just playing or producing. It's also, you've got to market, you've got to do a lot of self-promotion, you've got to negotiate contracts, you've got to understand the best way for you to make a living doing this. And so sometimes, often, that takes more of your time than playing music would. And so if those activities that you need to do in order to make your living in music bring less joy than just playing on the weekends, then what you want to do is make sure that you've got a job that pays the bills so that you can play your music on the weekends. And again, that's not to say that you can't make money as a musician, although I think we all know that that's difficult. But just realize that in order to do that, you're going to have to do a whole bunch of other things Do you like doing those specific things? And I think that is the last thing that I want to talk about, is to get a reality check on the kinds of jobs that you are thinking about doing. So often people have an idea of what a job is. That is, so for example, let's take teaching. And often when you think of teaching, you think standing in front of a classroom and, whether that's writing things on, depending on what age, writing things on a chalkboard or, computer, or, doing stuff with kindergartners. But it really is kind of the idea of teacher that we all experienced as students. However, if you talk to teachers, teaching actually can be a minority of what they do on a day-to-day basis. And the rest of their week is filled with meetings and committees and curriculum development and grading papers and grading more papers and grading more papers. So those are the things that you want to take a look at. You want to understand this job that you're thinking about. What are people actually doing in that job? You can get that information primarily from job descriptions, but also talking to people and ask, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? And then looking at all of those things, understanding what percentage of the time each activity takes, and then assessing what are the things that I would enjoy doing, that I am naturally good at, that brings out my best. And you want to make sure that that equals out to be at least 50% of the time that you spend working, preferably more. And that the other components, the 49 and less percent, that those aren't so challenging for you that that'll suck the joy out of everything else. So this concept of finding joy in your job is really first a matter of, well, it's all a matter of a reality check, knowing who you really are, not who you wish you were, but who you really are, and what are the things that bring a smile to your face. And then what is the reality of the jobs that you are thinking of, and what kind of match are they? So start by understanding what it is that you want. What is your definition of success? And what are the kinds of jobs that are going to most closely get you there? And once you figure that out, then the rest of the career design is figuring out, how am I going to get you there? So, and by how am I going to get you there, I mean, how are you going to get yourself there? So I hope that this is helpful. Please leave any comments that you have in the comments, and comments or questions that you have in the comment section. And I would love to hear if you have identified a type of job that you think will bring you joy. And if so, that is something to celebrate. Share that with the rest of the group. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Happy designing. Bye.